afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with me so we can go over your classroom observation. Before we get really in depth with this, I just kind of want to ask you, how do you think that your lesson went if you reflect upon your different teaching structures?
I thought it went well. There's obviously room for improvement, always. But the students were engaged. They were actively researching different diets and all that to help them improve their BMI levels.
Yeah, good. That's kind of what I observed also. The students seemed to be really engaged with their work. They were asking, each other different questions about like where to go for, different diet plans and that kind of thing. So it was kind of neat to see that. And they were really involved in actually putting in effort to try to do what's best for them. So that was cool. I liked how you activated prior knowledge with the kids about their BMI and having them remind or look back about their weight and, plugging in those numbers so that they can kind of create whether they needed to lose weight or maintain their weight. So that was neat to see. Another thing I'd like to point out was that the visual that you had showing for the kids on the screen was neat because they were able to plug in their weight and their height and see where to go and how to calculate from grams to kilograms or whatever. And then they were able to kind of determine whether they needed to lose weight or gain weight. So that was neat to see. So getting into the meat and potatoes of your observation, the observation summary here goes over the different CSTPs. So I'm just going to kind of go over each category and then kind of see where we can improve. And then again, the stuff that you met. So I wrote here, Mr. Kapijian engages students with a varied instructional approach. He tries different strategies to support his students. For example, Grant has used the BMI as an approach to personalized learning for each student to maximize student engagement. So that was nice to see. The one thing I would say to maybe improve on would be to have more critical thinking for the students. Try to get more reflection on that and have them really think about their stuff. So the second category is creating and maintaining effective environments for student learning. So I said that you meet that by managing your classes with little disciplinary issues. Your rapport with the student body is based on solid mutual respect. Mr. Kapijian supervises students and utilizes routines that demonstrate his commitment to the value of instructional minutes. Kind of an area to improve on would be developing and communicating and maintaining high standards for individual and group behavior. So in case, one thing I didn't really see was if a kid was off task, it wasn't like a direct, hey, you need to make sure you're doing this. It was kind of overlooked at first, but then when you worked your way around the room on observation, you were able to get that kid back on track. But maybe having standards set in place or norms in the classroom might be a way to do that. The understanding and organizing subject matter for student learning. I have you as MET. It says Mr. Kapijian has demonstrated his expertise during the implementation of his lessons. His ability to connect the subject matter to a level of understanding for the students is impressive. To continue developing as a professional educator, Mr. Kapijian should further his adjustment of lessons to include more rigor and critical thinking for the students. So again, just organizing that curriculum to facilitate their understanding. On the fourth, we have planning instruction and designing learning experiences for all students. Mr. Kapijian collaborates with administration and department colleagues to further strengthen his teaching practices. So you're in the process of developing these goals for these kids, short-term and long-term.
Right.
And so I know that in our PLCs that you're actively working on them, so that's nice to see. And then for assessing student learning, you're expanding your assessment of student learning to a more encompassing approach, so utilizing different varied assessment techniques to guide your content would be one of the next big steps. It's just using the students' work, I guess, to kind of determine, do you keep further digging into the BMI, or do you move on to something else that's somewhat related to that, but keep going further into critical thinking. The last step is developing as a professional educator. You obviously are doing that really well. You are managing your professional responsibilities. You are doing extracurricular activities, coaching, you do after-hour duties with the kids and stuff, so I think you're going really well with that. So that completes the CSTP's review. I'd say for the next steps for you to do would be to focus on either breaking up activities like a jigsaw kind of structure,
Right.
or even incorporating other K-KID structures just to get more student involvement. So the engagement was great, but maybe having each kid play a part, and so at the end result it's all individual based, but maybe they're all working together to get to that end result might be something to see. Is there anything else that you'd like to go over? Did you have any concerns? Do you want to talk about this? Or
No, I had no concerns. Your comments were very helpful, so.
good, thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
thanks for your time, and I enjoyed watching your class, and I look forward to
Thank
doing
you.
it tomorrow. All right,
All
thank
right.
you.